I'd now like to introduce Claudio Dondi, who is one of the partners on the research representing Unimore, and he is also going to be the chair of the panel of our first panel. So over to you, Claudio.
Thank you, Anna, and I'm very happy to have this role. We have a slight delay that obliges us to respect the 8 minutes limit in a rather strict way. The meaning of this first panel is to hear the opinion of different categories of stakeholders. Of course, not only the category, but the individual persons have something to say. I know each of them personally, and I'm sure they will bring additional element to our reflection that we will continue later in the innovation spaces. I don't want to steal time since we are late, so I start by giving the floor to Professor Anne Oman from Örebro University, who is also a partner in the TIL project and represent the category of teachers training institution.
Thank you, and thank you for all the interesting presentations earlier here. And as Claudia said, I'm Anne Oman from Örebro, Sweden, and I'm working at the university, and we give teacher education for several ages and for special needs. And we also run a large-scale strategic initiative called Future Teacher Education, or Teacher Education for Tomorrow. And the TIL project is a perfect fit for this initiative. I'm taking my departure from the study, the first intellectual output of the TIL project, where we made an overview of teacher education in Europe member states, and it was 32 countries, and it was desktop research. So we're just looking at websites or white sheet documents. And the purpose of the study was to present aspects of lifelong learning in teacher education and in continuous professional development. And we were looking at aspects of TIL competencies in the continuing professional development and accreditations for foreign teachers that can enhance teacher mobility. So it's basically the aspect that Anne presented this morning, and Simon as well. And we found that skills and knowledge of how to inspire lifelong learning in pupils are not usually formalized aspects, neither in teacher education nor in CPD. And that's what we can find in our own teacher education. It's not formalized, although there are, we do activities and teaching and learning that can be related to the TIL competencies, but you cannot see it formalized. And we saw some interesting activities in different countries as well, but overall you can't see much of you can't see many formalized aspects of lifelong learning or TIL competencies. And the need for teachers to engage themselves in lifelong learning is not communicated or supported, and it's not the accreditation systems. It does not support nor these aspects. So how can we educate teachers, our future teachers, that have these competencies? And we can see it's valuable skills that we need in the society, and we can see it, as Anne commented on, the pandemic this spring. Many teachers have had to learn at least digital skills in a very short time. And we can see that top-down policy reforms, it takes time to implement, and there's a need for more efficient and equitable system to recognize lifelong learning skills and transformative skills. So that's why the TIL project is very urgent, and we need to collaborate all over regions, nations, and all over Europe to accomplish change and transform teacher education. And I came to think of this little girl, Greta, and I guess most of you are familiar with Greta. And at the left picture, she's 7 years old and just started school, and this was 10 years ago. And I think it's interesting to think of what Greta has mattered in the Swedish school system. Last year, she took a year off, and the pictures in the middle is from her Instagram photos, where she met President Obama, she met young people in Rome, she held a presentation in Madrid, she was in the United States and in South America, and experienced a lot. But in the right pictures, you can see she started school again in August, and she says, my gap year from school is over, and it feels so good to finally be back in school. So I think this is interesting and challenging to see how this girl, she needs both formal schooling and as well all those education from people all over the world and people that you meet. So this is kind of lifelong learning, and it will not end when she finishes school. And Greta is a unique child, but as we heard before from Burkina, every child is unique, and the school system and teacher education have to educate teachers that can meet every child and within their own experiences and capacities. So let's see how I can get to the next picture there. I've been part of the OECD Future of Education and Skills working groups as well, and they posed 2 questions. What knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values will today's student need to thrive and shape their future world? And how can instructional system develop these knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values effectively? But hence, the teacher education institutions have to answer to those 2 far-reaching questions. And how can we educate teacher, student, and future teacher education that can inspire their student and pupils to thrive and shape their world? And how can we develop this knowledge? So it's 2 challenging questions for us to answer. And I will get back to the TIL framework with the 4 core areas. And I will give an example of how we at Örebro University have formed a model we have made another package of all those skills and competences and knowledge that our teachers need to achieve during their education. And here it's a quite new model, so it's not that elaborate, but it's we try to picture the different trajectories that our teachers are the process during their education. And here is the curricula, and we can say it's lifelong learning because they have to go on learning beyond when they finish their school. And here is the practicum that the Swedish teachers students meet. And we talk about the teacher as a lifelong learner, the teacher with teaching skills. I don't know if this is the perfect translations, but we're working on them. And the subject knowledgeable teacher and the teacher as a leader. And then we have to put it in a context of values like sustainable change, democracy, and so on. So that's what we are working on right now. And as a final slide, I will show an African wording that I came across at an OECD meeting. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's why I find it so fantastic to meet you all people today, because it's been really rewarding to be part of the TIL team and discuss those issues. So thank you. I hope I was I made it within my time.